Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
We need to complete one more topic under this chapter, excretory products and elimination. Concentration of urine, that is to be completed. So with that, we'll be completing this chapter. So let's proceed to the topic, concentration of urine. Hope you don't have any doubts in what we discussed in the previous periods.
No, ma'am.
Now we are going to learn about urine formation, how urine is getting concentrated. You know that 180 liters of glomerular filtrate is formed per day, but the formation of urine is between 1 to 1.5, or even it can go up to 2 liters, but not more than that. So how this urine is getting concentrated? So the concentration of urine is brought about by Henle's loop and vasa recta. You know what is Henle's loop? Henle's loop is the U-shaped portion, U-shaped part between proximal and distal convoluted tubule. So proximal, distal convoluted tubule. So in between you can see an U-shaped part that is known as loop of Henle. And running parallel to that, you have a branch of peritubular capillary, which you call it as vasa recta, known as vasa recta. And these two tubes are running parallel. And in our loop of Henle, you can find both the limbs. You know, this is a descending limb and this is ascending limb. So the flow of glomerular filtrate in these two tubes, ascending and descending limbs, is in the opposite direction. Like in ascending limb, it is moving downwards, whereas in descending limb, it is moving upwards. So counter current, their current means the flow. So flow is in the opposite direction. The same is applicable to vasa recta also. In vasa recta also, you can find in one limb, if the passage is downwards, the other limb, it is upwards. And you know, even though it has been kept separate, loop of Henle and vasa recta is kept separate, you know, they come parallel. And the flow of fluid in vasa recta and loop of Henle is also in different directions. And not only that, the two limbs of Henle's loop, the flow of glomerular filtrate is in the opposite direction. Vasa recta is meant for the transport of blood. Blood passes through vasa recta. So in both the limbs of vasa recta also, the flow is in the opposite direction. One limb up downward, the other limb upward direction. Whereas through Henle's loop, glomerular filtrate is being circulated. Okay. Through Henle's loop, glomerular filtrate is moving. Through vasa recta, blood is being circulated. And in the two limbs, ascending and descending limb of Henle's loop, the flow is counter current, opposite direction the flow is taking place. Descending limb movement is downwards, ascending limb movement is upwards. And in vasa recta also the same process can be seen, but there it is blood. And vasa recta and Henle's loop are running parallel to each other. If you take these two tubes also, in both of them also, the flow is in the opposite direction. So this mechanism, this counter current mechanism, helps in concentrating the urine. Concentrating the urine here, I hope you have understood what is meant by that, because after filtration by the glomerulus, when the glomerular filtrate is reaching the proximal convoluted tubule, here the concentration of the glomerular filtrate will be more. So more amount is being released, but by the time it moves down and reaches the collecting duct, the urine becomes concentrated. Major share of water and salts will be reabsorbed into the body. The flow of filtrate in the two limbs of Henle's loop or the loop of Henle and the flow of blood through the two limbs of vasa recta are in the opposite direction. That is, the flow is in the counter current pattern. This counter current flow helps in concentrating the glomerular filtrate, or helps in concentrating urine. The counter current and the proximity between Henle's loop and vasa recta. In both limbs, counter current mechanism or counter current flow is taking place, and both of them are in close proximity. Both of them are lying together. So the proximity between Henle's loop and vasa recta and the counter current mechanism in these two tubes maintain an increasing osmolarity. The solute concentration will be maintained high. An increasing osmolarity will maintain in the inner medullary interstitium. Inner medullary interstitium means the cells in the medulla. So there, the osmolarity, the fluid present there will be maintained at high osmolarity. The solute concentration in the medullary interstitial fluid will be maintained at a high concentration. Why? Because only then water can be reabsorbed. If water needs to be reabsorbed, water moves from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Higher the osmolarity, higher the solute concentration. So water will move from where solute is less to a region where where the solute is more. It will be moving to a region where solute is more. I hope I did not confuse you. I'll write it down here. Water will be moving from a region of high concentration to a region of low concentration. Higher to lower concentration of water, or else you can say from lower concentration to higher concentration of solutes. Means when there is high concentration of water, solute will be less. And when there is low concentration of water, solute concentration will be high. Anyhow, you can say water moves from a region of higher water concentration to a region of higher water concentration to a region of low water concentration. That is same as movement from a low solute concentration to a region of high solute concentration. Both are same, because when higher water is there, solute will be less. Low water concentration means that the solute will be less. So both ways you can say water moves from a region of higher water concentration to lower water concentration, or low solute concentration to high solute concentration. I hope I have cleared. And the counter current and the proximity of Henle's loop and vasa recta being very closely arranged, this will help in maintaining an increasing osmolarity that you can see in the figure. Here in the beginning, the osmolarity was 300, but you can see gradually it is increasing to 1200 milliosmol per liter. That is a unit for osmolarity, milliosmol per liter. So our purpose is to reabsorb water. For reabsorbing water, the concentration in the medullary interstitial fluid should be high. Concentration of solute should be high so that water can be reabsorbed. This gradient, so this difference in the gradient is brought about by sodium chloride and urea, or this 300 to 1200. The difference in the osmolarity is brought about by sodium chloride and urea. Once again, I will repeat the points what I said, how the concentration or how the urine gets concentrated, or how the glomerular filtrate is getting concentrated. Henle's loop and vasa recta. These are the two structures which will help in concentrating the urine or concentrating the glomerular filtrate. The flow of filtrate in both the limbs of Henle's loop, and that in the two limbs of vasa recta are in the opposite directions, and the flow of fluid in Henle's loop as such and in vasa recta, those are also in opposite directions. So they follow a counter current pattern. This counter current pattern plus the close proximity, the close location of Henle's loop and vasa recta help in increasing the osmolarity. From the cortex, you can see from the cortex region, it was 300. From there, it is gradually increasing to 1200. So the purpose is to maintain a high osmolarity in the medullary region. So when the high osmolarity is maintained or high solute concentration is maintained, water can be reabsorbed into the medullary interstitium. So this difference in the gradient or this osmolarity, the difference in osmolarity is brought about by sodium chloride and urea. Now let's see how sodium chloride and urea is playing a role in maintaining the gradient. Sodium chloride is transported by the ascending limb of loop of Henle. Now here we need to remember the permeability of ascending and descending limb. Descending limb is permeable to water, impermeable to solute. Yes, are you remembering? Do you remember what we discussed? And the ascending limb is impermeable to water, permeable to electrolytes that we had already discussed. So what is mentioned is sodium chloride is released from the ascending limb because it is permeable to electrolyte. Water is impermeable, but it is permeable to these electrolytes. And you can see the sodium chloride will be released from the ascending limb. So when sodium chloride is released from the ascending limb, this will be taken up by the descending limb. This is the ascending limb of vasa recta, and this is the descending limb. So the sodium chloride, which is released from here, will be taken up by the descending limb of vasa recta. And then later, once the sodium chloride, so this will be taken up. So sodium chloride will be taken up by the descending limb. But when this reaches here, when the ascending limb, this will be released into the medullary interstitium. So more concentration of solutes are reaching the interstitium, their concentration or osmolarity will increase. I'll repeat once again. I told you that the gradient, the difference in the osmolarity between the cortex and medulla is brought about by the NaCl, by the transport of NaCl and urea. And as we have already learned, the descending limb is impermeable to electrolytes like sodium chloride, but permeable to water, descending limb. But ascending limb, impermeable to water, permeable to sodium chloride or electrolytes. So what happens is when the glomerular filtrate reaches the descending limb, when the glomerular filtrate is reaching the ascending limb. See, this is the ascending limb. The sodium chloride being permeable, they will be released out. And this sodium chloride will be taken up by the descending limb. This is the descending limb of vasa recta. So vasa recta will take up the sodium chloride and this moves down. And once it reaches the ascending limb, the sodium chloride will be released into the medulla, medullary interstitium. So that also will help in increasing the solute concentration and helps in maintaining high osmolarity. Similarly, a small amount of urea enters the thin segment of ascending limb of loop of Henle. the ascending limb of loop of Henle, a small amount of urea will be entering. So you know why urea is being reabsorbed. We already discussed. That is also meant for maintaining the osmolarity, to maintain the osmotic concentration. Small amount of urea will be entering the thin segment of the ascending limb. Now, the thin segment means, see, this part is the thin segment. This is the thin segment. This is the thick segment. Here it is broader, little more. Here it is thin. This part is thin. Small amount of urea enters the thin segment of the ascending limb of Henle's loop. But once it reaches this urea, once it reaches the collecting tubule, from there it will be released outside into the medulla again. That also will help in contributing a high osmolarity in the medulla. So that is why it is said the concentration gradient is brought about by sodium chloride and urea. I'll repeat the points once again. Sodium, okay. Sodium chloride. So before that, Henle's loop. Henle's loop has got ascending and descending limb. Descending limb is permeable to water, impermeable to electrolytes. Whereas the ascending limb is whereas the ascending limb is permeable to electrolytes but impermeable to water. So sodium chloride being permeable will be released from the ascending limb. This released sodium chloride will be taken up by the descending limb of, this is the descending limb of vasa recta. And this sodium chloride taken up by the descending limb will be released into the medullary interstitium by the ascending limb. So thereby the medullary interstitium will have a high osmolarity or solute concentration. And urea also plays a role. Small amount of urea will be taken up by the thin segment of the ascending limb of loop of Henle. But this urea, once it reaches the collecting duct, it will be released into the medullary region. That also will help in concentrating the glomerular filtrate. This transport of substances facilitated by Henle's loop and vasa recta is known as counter current mechanism. Counter opposite current flow. So here the flow of substances is maintained in the opposite direction, and this transport of substances facilitated by Henle's loop and vasa recta, you call it as counter current mechanism. As a result of counter current mechanism in the medullary interstitial fluid, a concentration gradient will be maintained. There the osmolarity will be maintained high. When the osmolarity is maintained high, this will facilitate the movement of water from the renal tubule into the interstitial fluid. Helps in the reabsorption of water. It helps in the easy passage of water from the collecting tubule. So more and more water, because the medullary interstitial cell surrounding the renal tubule is having more solute. So water present in the collecting tubule will move out from the collecting tubule into the medullary interstitium because of the difference in the concentration. And this will facilitate the concentration of glomerular filtrate. So all the water that is useful for you necessary for your body will be reabsorbed, and the urine will get concentrated, or glomerular filtrate will get concentrated. And that is how the 180 liters of glomerular filtrate produced per day is getting reduced to 1 to 1.5 liters of urine. Human kidneys produce urine 4 times concentrated than the initial filtrate formed. So in the beginning, this is very dilute. Glomerular filtrate will be very dilute because it's having plenty of water. But 99% from 180, 1 to 1.5 liters only urine is being formed. So almost 99% of glomerular filtrate is being reabsorbed. This will concentrate the urine to around 4 times. 4 times it gets concentrated than the initial filtrate. Any doubt? Any doubt, children? So the purpose behind counter current mechanism is to keep the osmolarity in the interstitial, medullary interstitial fluid high. So when the solute concentration is high, water will be less. So water passing through the renal tubule will escape from the renal tubule to outside to the medullary region. And this will help in concentrating urine. Okay, so with that, we have completed the chapter excretory products and their elimination. Any doubts you have in the chapter? Any of the chapters, any topic you find so confusing, so difficult? Only when you revise, you will have doubts, I know. Are you going, sister? I thought of taking revision, but then I came to know that you will be getting some break in between, and what we need to do now is to complete the portions. So that is why I thought first I will complete the portions, and seeing the situation, we'll have the revision. Uh, did you have, or were you doing revision on a daily basis? Revision means daily topics. At least you were going through it. At least reading. Michael, were you reading? That I understood today when I asked the question. Don't make things pile up. Then you will find it very difficult to learn. From day one, I'm saying, if you take the first recorded video, there I have told all these. And this also I told, I won't keep repeating this. So note it down, do it on a daily basis. Otherwise, it's like a C. 11th standard biology is like a, we say, no, like musician, like Yeshudas. I don't know, somebody said like that. I'm just a student standing on the shore of a sea. So just like that, you will feel when the exam timetable you get, and when you have a limited number of days to learn, you will feel you are standing alone in a seashore and you need to empty the water there in the sea. So all those hallucinations and all will come sooner or later. So I think 1 month back also I reminded you that slowly start your revision. I told you not only biology, all the subjects you can just slowly start the revision. I don't know how many of you have taken it seriously and started. Hmm? And the whole textbook is there, no? All subjects, not selected topics. Any teacher told you the topics to be learned? No. The entire syllabus you have, and luckily CBSE, they had deleted some of the topics that you need not learn, but rest of the topics you should learn and take it seriously. And we'll have on Friday, we'll have, tomorrow I can complete the topic what I said, and then we'll have a analysis or question paper analysis, or if you need to, it will be in the latest pattern, 12th standard pattern with case study, assertion reasoning. So about all that, we will have a brief discussion day after tomorrow. So tomorrow, if I can complete the portions earlier within 1 or 1.5 period, if we can complete, we'll start it tomorrow itself. If not, Friday. And then, you know, what is meant by, or what type of questions are to be asked, or have you seen the question paper pattern latest? Assertion, any idea about assertion reasoning questions? No. So far, you haven't attempted any. Say something.
Ma'am, in 10th we wrote.
Which, for science you had?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, may not, I think it's not in biology, maybe physics and chemistry you had. Anyway, so you know what is meant by assertion reasoning. And assertion reasoning questions are very tricky, very easy to lose marks and score marks. If you are thorough with the concept, you can, without explaining anything, just choosing the correct option, you can easily score marks. But on the other side, if you're not thorough, you will do ingy pingy pongy and choose one. and the marks will go. Case study questions are also like that. They'll give a passage, they'll give a paragraph. And usually what happens is I've seen this 10th standard test also. In the first test, what they did was they were searching out for the answer from the paragraph. Like in English and all, it is like that, no? Passage will be given. You have to read it and answer the questions given below by selecting the answers or choosing the answers from this paragraph. But in biology or in the science subjects, the pattern is different. They'll give a paragraph with a related concept. Direct answers won't be there. Then a set of questions will be there that you need to answer applying the concept. So that will be tricky, but you will get more training next year. This year you are going to write the exam as such. I don't think any model exam, but you will have a revision. I think already some subjects have started revision. Yes, maths revision started. Maybe for the other batch. Then any other subject, chemistry revision started, no? See you next class, children. So tomorrow we'll be completing our syllabus. The topic will be enzyme. So tomorrow we'll meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.